Old Testament Saint Daniel prayed 3 times a day. It was his daily spiritual pattern. We see this in Daniel 6:10. And apparently everyone knew it was his daily pattern, according to Daniel 6:13. John Piper picks up this point in a 1991 sermon and addresses whether consistent spiritual discipline is legalism. Here's a listen to what he said.
Daniel's prayer was a testimony not just to the glory of the Lord, but to the fact that his life was built on prayer. He was making a statement, and not just about God, but about his relationship to God. Had he not prayed, God would be the same. Probably his relationship would have been the same, but one thing would have been different. What the satraps thought about Daniel's relationship to God. Oh, I see. When it's dangerous, he doesn't do it anymore. And Daniel knew that his testimony was at stake. And therefore he got down on his knees on the second floor before the open window 3 times a day. And he prayed. He lived by prayer. He consulted what God thought and he asked God to act. Daniel's prayer was disciplined and regular. When the time for a demonstration came, he didn't have to do anything different than he was already doing. He had disciplined himself for years probably at that window 3 times a day, and he simply said, will I maintain my discipline or will I forsake my God-given discipline? And he said, I will not forsake it. At the cost of my life, I will not forsake it. I wonder if it strikes you as strange, like it does me, that very few Christians in the American evangelical church pray like this. Statedly, disciplined, 3 times a day. Does it strike you as strange that nobody prays that way these days? And I think there are a lot of people who would say that's real good because it shows that we have discovered freedom from legalism. Now, I might believe that. I might believe that if I saw people who did not have Daniel's discipline as powerful in prayer as Daniel was. But I don't believe it. In fact, as I analyze the American evangelical church today, the creeping legalism that I see is not Daniel's disciplined prayer 3 times a day. I do not think spiritual discipline is the Trojan horse in which legalism is making its way into Troy, the church. No way, Jose. We are not in 1,000 years in danger of becoming legalists through spiritual discipline in the American evangelical meet-my-need cushy Christianity. In fact, I think that the kind of legalism that is creeping in today is virtually the opposite of spiritual discipline. It has 2 sides to its coin. On one side is fear. The fear of anything that comes close to sounding or looking like biblical discipline, expressed in sentences like, train yourself in godliness, strive to enter by the narrow gate, take up your cross daily, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. I pommel my body and subdue it. If your right eye offends you, gouge it out. Strive together with me in prayer. Anything that comes remotely close to sounding like such discipline is feared in the new legalism. For centuries, the disciplines of the Spirit have marked the great saints, and today they are feared. The other side of the coin of the new legalism is a demand for psychologically correct speech. Not politically correct speech. We all know what that is. Psychologically correct speech. If you don't use certain language to describe morality, ethics, duty, and the commandments of God that are psychologically correct, you are a defective people helper and do more harm than good. Taboo, a new list of taboos in the legalism that I'm talking about. And the new list of taboos is thou shalt not use must, thou shalt not use should, thou shalt not use ought, thou shalt not use warnings like those who do such things shall not enter the kingdom. This is the new legalism and the new list of taboos. You must not say must. They are simply not psychologically correct ways of talking about reality. The creeping legalism in the American evangelicalism today, I believe, is not the spiritual discipline of Daniel, who prayed 3 times a day. I urge you to consider whether some of our weakness, rather in cushy, self-indulgent, so-called spontaneous, meet-my-need American Christianity, is owing not mainly to bondage to legalistic lists of do's and don'ts, but rather to the fact that we have forsaken biblical discipline.
Too right. That's a sharp point worth thinking about. 24 years after this sermon was delivered, the audio quality is a little bodgy, but that is a classic clip from John Piper's 1991 sermon, Daniel's Defiance of Darius in Prayer. And it was sent in to us by Jessica Cole in Sydney, Australia. Good on ya. Okay, enough of the Australian slang for today. If God is most glorified in me when I am most satisfied in him, does this mean that God is never glorified by those who don't love him? John Piper joins us tomorrow to answer a really important question. I hope you join us. I'm your host, Tony Ranke. We'll see you tomorrow, mates.